It is the Flow Friday Sports Show on Flow FM. We're getting into our South Australian netball coverage, starting off with the Western Eyre Netball Association. Courtney Trowbridge, our correspondent for this league, is on the line with me to recap last weekend's games. How are you, Courtney?
Good, thanks, Dan. How are you?
Going very well, thank you. One sort of close game last weekend and one that wasn't so close, but let's get into these results. It was a pretty good effort by Thevenard, coming within 8 goals of the West Coast Hawks. The Hawks winning it 45-37 at Thevi.
Yes, I know Thevi were pretty happy with this result to get within 8 goals of Hawks after having a very big loss to them last time they met. Hawks were without Maddie Nicholson, their goal shooter, and Rochelle Wheaton, who'd been playing a bit of defence, but also their backup goalie. So they had to make a few changes. They had Nardi Beard come in, who played for them previously, but I don't think has played at all this year. She come in and filled the wing attack position, and Bella Taken went into goal attack. For Sevi, they were actually missing their goal attack, Ellie O'Brien, as well. So Nikki Fleet swung back down to the other end of the court and played goals. Sevi started a little bit differently in a combination that did not work well for them. I think Hawks scored maybe the first 8 goals before Sevi got a goal on the board. They called a tactical, made some changes. They were 15-4 down at quarter time. Hawks then had a really good second quarter as well, and they were leading 28-12 at half time. So Sevi were able to get back into the game. They actually won the last half by 8 goals, so they'll be really happy with that. And probably just that first 5 to 10 minutes of the game just got away with them, and Hawks were able to hold that lead for the entire game. They did have Alana Cotton go down with an injury in the third quarter, which is a pretty big loss for them. She's their goal defence, and she just creates so much pressure and a real steady player down the court for them. So she's not playing this weekend, so hopefully we'll see her back for finals. All in all, quite a competitive game right down to the last whistle. Best for Sevi was Hayley Jericho, and best for Hawks was Bella Taysom, who went into goal attack, not in her usual position of wing attack, and done really well.
I'm sure Thevi will learn from some of those mistakes they made early in the game, but an 8-goal margin in the end, not too bad. They lost by 24 last time they met a few weeks ago. That was a Hawks home game, so maybe it's a home advantage thing, but I'd say Thevi have probably improved since the start of the season.
Yeah, I think so. I think probably consistency has been a big thing with Thevi. Some weeks they play a ripper and they get close, or they tend to play really well and match up against Blues and have won a couple of those contests. But I think sometimes just unable to put together a 4-quarter performance, and when you're coming up against really fit and fast teams, unless you can play a full 4 quarters, it is hard to win a match.
All right, and the Tigers also had a very nice win, 46-27 over Wirralur, and Western United are looking pretty much unstoppable, undefeated, a very, very healthy percentage, and I'd say the Hawks are probably the only team that are any chance of touching them at the moment, but even that's looking like a long shot.
Yeah, I think it will really depend on where teams are at the end of the year. So, I definitely didn't expect this game to be a 19-goal margin. Westies were missing 2 key players in Nikia Skinner and Jacinta Binstead, and they had Cedar Shippard and Abby Thomas come up and play, which I think they played a great game. Still 2 pretty big outs, and to have a big win against Wirralur, it just goes to show where they are tracking along, and probably just through the year continuing to build and improve and maybe leaving the other teams behind a little bit. I know Wirralur were also missing Hayley Webb, who's been running through their centre, so that would have been a pretty big loss for them. It was actually reasonably close, 7-6 at quarter time. Westies had a 1-goal lead. Then they were able to push out and have a 7-goal lead at half time, and that was just 6 goals at 3-quarter time. So still a really close game up until 3-quarter time, but Westies just put their foot down in that last quarter, 16-3 in the last quarter, restricting Wirralur to just 3 goals. Wirralur had to play around with some of their combinations. I think they put Emma Willis back into defence to maybe match up against Durrani Hoffrichter. I imagine taking her out of goals would have left them with a bit of a hole up the other end. So Wirralur fairly in the game, but again, not able to put together a 4-quarter performance. Best for Westies was Harriet Appleby, Not sure I'm Wirrala best player, but I did hear that young Eva Smacker, who's been running through wing attack for Wirrala, did have quite a good game and turned a lot of ball over.
Ceduna Blues were on the bye last weekend. Let's get into their game first. They're back in action, heading to Streaky Bay to take on the Hawks.
Yeah, and both teams missing a couple of players. Kelsey Skinner is out for Blues. She's overseas at the moment. So they have Tegan Drew coming up. She'll play defence, I think, with Hayley Clayton. So I think that will see Taylor Collins run through the midcourt. Hawks, again, they're missing Rochelle, who's still out with that ankle injury. Alana, who injured her ankle on the weekend, she's having a rest. And then Kobe Freeman's actually gone away to school. I think she will be back for finals, but yeah, I think she'll miss a couple of games. So they have Tara Jelinek coming up. She'll play goal defence. She actually has been playing a bit of C grade as she wasn't playing at the start of the year. So she comes into the A grade, very capable of filling up there. And they also have Nissa Bell coming in and playing wing defence. So their team will look a little bit different. Their attacking end, much the same and settled as it has been. I imagine Summer Brads will move back through the centre. I think they'll miss Alana in goal defence and just that control with bringing the ball out when they turn ball over. But yeah, I think Hawks should have a easy win.
All right, and I reckon this game is probably a little bit more intriguing. Wirrala hosting Thevenard, and given the last week's respective results with Wirrala a little bit disappointing against the Tigers and Thevenard probably up and about getting a pretty good result against the Hawks. It's a tough one to call. Both teams will certainly be fired up.
Yeah, I think Thevi's had two reasonably big losses to Wirrala. The first one, I can't fully remember, but I think it was around the 18 to 20 goal mark, and then at Thevi they got wiped. So they'll definitely be looking at improving on those results and also seeing how they can match them in the first semi. I imagine from the ladder this will be the first semi matchup, Wirrala versus Thevi. So I think it will be interesting. Airlie O'Brien is back in for Thevi, so it allows Nikki Sleep to swing back down the defensive end, and her and Hayley Jericho in the circle is what they need up against Emma Willis and Stacey Lee. So I'm not sure how Wirrala are lining up. I know Hayley was out last week. I'm not sure if she was away or injured, so I'm sure we'll see her back through the centre, so she'll be a tough competitor for Daniela Madigan in the middle. Hopefully a bit closer contest this time round. Going off results, Wirrala should get the win, but hopefully, a little bit closer result.
Margin was 19 when they met back in round 3 at Wirrala, and then it blew out to 32 when Thevenard had the home game in round 8. So we'll see if Thevi can close that gap at all this weekend. But Courtney, I'm looking forward to getting your recap of both of those games when we chat next Friday. Enjoy all the action this weekend. Good luck to everyone playing in Western Eyre Netball. And yes, we'll chat to you next Friday.
Thanks, Dan.